Hi, so tonight we're going to be doing like an easy hamburger casserole kind of dish for dinner, and it's super easy. All it is some pasta and the sauce, and you're gonna like mix that in with a sauce that's basically made up of about a pound of ground meat. I'm gonna use ground pork today, so you mix that with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, basically any seasoning you want to use. Then we're going to pour in some tomato soup, mix some cheese in there, and then we're gonna let that kind of like do its thing. Top it with a little bit more cheese and pop it in the oven for about 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and heat up a little bit of oil in the pan just so that the meat doesn't really stick. And I've also got a pot of hot water going here to boil my pasta. I'm going to be using some vegetable blend rotini. And I don't know if I'm going to use the whole box or not. I usually boil almost like a full box because and I use however much I think looks good, and the remainder I'll just keep in the fridge because the kids love to eat like noodles and butter throughout the week, so I always have noodles and butter in the fridge. All right, so to the pan, it's already starting to heat up. I'm gonna add I have some ground pork here. A lot of people use beef, but I think I had mentioned before I don't eat beef, so I'm just gonna use pork. Throw this away. Okay, and you're just going to want to break this up into some like little pieces, kind of like chop it up. I know I've seen a bunch of people on social media. They have this little, it's like a black tool, and the end is shaped like a star. They just kind of mince up their meat with that. However, I think a spoon just works just fine. Little man was homesick today, so if you hear some coughing, that's him. He got a lot of rest today though, which is good. Add some salt and pepper. Okay, so pepper. Salt, and I'm going to do some garlic powder in here now, and then I'm going to put a little bit of Italian seasoning in here just to give it a little extra flavor. So my water is boiling, so I'm just going to go ahead and pour this pasta in here, and I had salted water. This is a 12-ounce box, so I'm just going to use the whole box because, like I said, I can have some little leftovers fridge for the kids. Okay, so we got that going. My meat is browning up really nice. Just kind of chopped it up here. To this, I'm going to, and I added salt, pepper, garlic powder, and some Italian seasoning in here. So next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of this tomato soup. I think you only really need like 1 or 2 cans of tomato soup if you're going to use the Campbell's one. I have this one. It's the Pacific Foods tomato basil soup. So this is a 32-ounce container, so I'm not going to use the whole thing. feel like this one gives it a nice little flavor too. And you want to have enough soup in there because you're going to also add the noodles in, so you don't want it to be too dry. Okay, so I add a little bit more in here. Okay. So I've got a good bit in there. That's probably about 20-ish ounces, let's see. Maybe like 16 ounces. I'm just gonna let that kind of get warmed up. And once this is kind of warmed and the noodles are done, I'm gonna add a little bit of cheese in here and like mix it all together so that it's nice and ooey gooey. And then I'll top it with a little bit more cheese and then pop it in the oven. So my noodles are done boiling, and I'm going to go ahead and add them into this pot with the tomato soup and the meat. Let's get that going right now. And I already took some out for the kids, so oops. So I think I can put pretty much all of this in here. I did that vegetable rotini, so it's really good. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this a quick stir. And I'm also going to add some cheese into this. So I'm going to add a little bit of mozzarella. So I just had a little bit left in here. It was probably like a half a cup in there. I'll put a little bit extra. Just like there. And then I'm also going to add in some, this is like a triple cheddar. It's Wisconsin, New York, and Vermont sharp cheddar cheeses. Or if you just have plain cheddar cheese, you can add that too. So I'm going to add maybe like 2 handfuls should be enough. I'm going to mix that in here, and that's actually going to make it a little thicker too. So, all right. So, okay, here we go. So it should look something kind of like this. It's a little soupy. Really good. And you can always add more spices in there if you want now. You can taste it. So I'm just going to kind of even out. And at this point, you can always add this to another pan and then put it in the oven. I don't really want to do a ton of dishes, so I'm going to just add a little bit more cheese on top. Just a little sprinkle. So that was the cheddar cheese, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the mozzarella. All right. Turn the heat off there. I almost left it on by mistake. All right. Okay. So this is what we're looking at. And I'm going to go ahead and pop that in the oven at 375 for about 20 minutes or until the cheese starts getting really bubbly. All right, it's been about 20 minutes and this is what we're looking like. It's going to be delicious. It's still bubbling and cheesy and gooey.